Hello, I'm Hazefest. I'm going to teach you a little bit about AutoHotKey for casting classes in Dark Age Camelot on the Phoenix server. Now, AutoHotKey is a program where you can take multiple key presses and put them onto a single keystroke using this program. I'm going to walk you through how to install it. I'm going to walk you through how to use it in game and how to edit your scripts on the fly if you need to. So without further ado, let's get going. If you need to download AutoHotKey, you can go to AutoHotKey.com. It'll take you to this page here. The link will be in the description. You click download, and then you download the current version. After downloading the AutoHotKey, you will need to reboot your PC. Once you reboot your PC, you can then go to your desktop. You can right click, say new, AutoHotKey Script, and then you can just right click on that and go to open with Notepad. You'll get a screen just like this. And what you can do is you can Control A. Once you have it pulled up, you can hit delete. And then in the description, I will paste the text that you can put in here. And at that point, you'll be able to manipulate exactly what you want to do. And I'll show you how to do that. So I think the first thing we should talk about is the limitations of what you can do with AutoHotKey as a caster. So with AutoHotKey, you can take an offensive and a defensive spell and put them on the same key for dual purpose. An example of this would be to take your mez. If you wanted to mez the enemy, you could mez that person, and with the same button you can demez an ally. So I'll show you how to do that. So in your script, the top line with the semicolon is going to be a statement of what exactly your string does, and this 4 lines of text here is a string. So for the first one, we'll put mez and demez. There we go. And we'll set this as button 3, for instance. First thing you'll need to do is type /qbinds. That'll pull up your qbinding keys here. We're going to start with no keys qbound. So many of you will be able to start exactly where I'm starting. What I'd like you to do is on one of your bars that you would like to use, I recommend quick bar 1. Let's go to page number 5 by hitting Shift 5. Once we get there, let's go ahead and put some of the skills that we're going to use for this particular button setup here. We're going to do mez and clear mind. So qbinding, if I do /qbind 5 and then space 1, so it's qbind 5.1, hit enter, the system is going to ask that I push a key or a series of keys to set as that qbind. So for 5.1 on my quick bar, I wanted to set this as F9, and then I'll do number 2 as F11. So now if I click the enemy and hit F9, it casts a spell. If I hit F11 on an ally, it casts a spell. So how do I get these on the same button? Well, that's where the script comes into play. So here where it says send, we're going to send F9 and F11. Now this particular setup is going to be a dual purpose. So this is going to be an offensive and a defensive spell. We now have the program running. And if you need to check, you can just go to your Windows key and you can see it's running down here in the bottom right. Why is it not working? Oh, that's why. Because I set it to button 3. Make sure you hit the right button. So 3, target the enemy. He resisted. Mezzes the enemy on 3, target my ally, hit 3. And cures him. So if I want to take it a step further, I can make a macro for facing. So I do just macro face / face. We can put that on number 3. And then we can put a qbind onto face in the 3rd slot, and we can add that. For this particular video, I'm going to use my button, which is F to face. And I'll use F right in front of this string. Save it. Run as an administrator. It's already running. We're going to say yes. Now when I hit 3, it will face the enemy. Cast a spell. And if I need to face an ally, I can hit 3. It'll face them, cast a spell. So facing on your AutoHotkeys is pretty good, especially if you're doing something like a QuickCast CC. So if you have an enemy on you and you want to get them off of you, and they're attacking you while you're trying to run away, a good thing would be to do QuickCast. Put QuickCast on our bar. Do the AoE mez, put that on our bar. So let's go ahead and make a qbind for QuickCast as well as for our AoE mez. So what we need to do is go to qbind / qbind 5.9. This will be our AoE mez. We'll make that F5. And then our QuickCast we will make F1. So now if I hit F1 it'll QuickCast, and if I hit F5 it'll cast a spell that will AoE mez. So in our script, I was missing use hook off, so I had to add it back. That's where the script ends. That's the end of it right there. So you gotta make sure that's there, otherwise it'll be a problem. So let's make this button 0. And for this string, we made F1 our QuickCast, and then we made F5 our AoE mez. Go ahead and save it. Run it as an administrator. And this will work with any number of spells that are CC relatable, such as mez, root, stun, anything of that nature. If it's not already an instant cast, this is a good way to protect yourself. So let's just say this dummy in front of me here is attacking me and I can't get away from him. What I can do if I'm trying to run away from this guy is, since we set this as our button number 0, I can just hit 0. It'll QuickCast, face him, and it will mez him. And then I can run away safely, as long as nobody's attacking him. Another ability you can do is if you have individual debuffs, such as, strength debuff, we can see that it shares the same cooldown as Dex. So what we can do is we can separate the spells so that they are individuals. If you're up against a strength con character, we can use the strength debuff. If we're going up against a dex-based caster or a dex-based player, we can use the dex and quickness debuffs. So what that would look like is, let me go ahead and get the bar set up here. Okay. I have my bar set up now. So what we can do is, if we have instant debuffs, some classes do, some classes don't. In this case, the character I'm using, just for an example, I can use a strength debuff, a strength con debuff, and a dex quick buff debuff all at the same time. So I can use, on this quick bar here of number 6, I can use button 1, 2, and 3 together, and I can use button 4, 5, and 6 together because they do not share cooldowns. It's very important that if you want to do this kind of stuff, you have to do it with debuffs that do not share a cooldown with each other. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up so that our script, when we press a single button, it's going to use 3 debuffs, and then it's going to hit the enemy with a castable debuff, which will take their resistances down by 15% across cold, heat, and matter. So the enemy is going to end up with 3 nasty debuffs and then debuffs to their resistances as well, all in a single key press. So what that looks like on the script is if you take this text, you copy it, quad debuff, strength con, dex quick, strength con, dex quick, heat, matter. What was the last one? Cold. So this key, I'll make this number 6. And these don't have to be numbers. You can make them, you can name them letters or special characters. Whatever button you want to press needs to go in that slot right there. So this will be number 6, and we're going to put up our bar real quick with qbinds. So this will be face the enemy, and then we'll do F6, F6, F7, F8, and then the last button was going to be Control, which is the up arrow as the modifier here for number 6. So Shift 6, give you that little chevron, and then F10 was the final button press. And the reason we don't have the F in a bracket is because the F9 is 1 key press, and if you just put in F9, it'll hit the F key and then the 9 key. So if you have something like insert, home, end, delete, or any of the function keys, you need to make sure you put those in the squiggly brackets to signify that it's a single key press. We'll file, we'll save, run that as an administrator. Now, when I press 6, it's going to try debuff, and then it's going to hit him with the resistance debuff all on the same button. So if you look at the bottom of the bar, all the debuffs go off, and then he resisted my number 7. So just like that, we have strength con, dex quick, and then heat, cold, and matter debuff in a single 2-second cast. So if we wanted to do this again, but with the dex modifiers only, we can hit somebody with minus 46 dex, and then we can hit them with an AoE debuff that hits them with strength dex, and then we have a single strength dex, single target. So we should be able to hit them with all 3 of these. I don't think they'll override. Let's see. Target already has that effect. Wait until it expires. Okay. So for the dex quick, we don't have to run the middle option. So we'll just do number 4 and number 6 and number 7. We already have number 7 bound. So we'll qbind 6-4 as F2. We'll qbind 6-6 as F3. As F3, there we go. And then we will need to save our script and rerun it. So we're going to copy, make this number 7. Do this as dex quick, heat, cold, matter debuff. And what that's going to look like is I'm going to use F2 and then F3 and then Control F10 because we set the other one to Control F10. Use the slot number 7 on the current bar, so say OK, and run it as an administrator. We'll say yes. Click on the dummy. Now if we hit 7, it's going to use our 4 button, our 6 button, and our 7 button all at the same time. So now we have a way to debuff dex based characters, and now we have a strength con and strength character debuff. So that's another example. So if you have a lot of instant abilities on your class, you can set up multiple instants as long as they don't share a cooldown and just unload on an enemy. Works great if you're soloing. Next, another good thing you can do is pet manipulation. What do I mean by pet manipulation? Well, if we go to bar number 5 here, if you hold shift and click on your pet name, you will get a pet button. What does this do? Well, if I click the pet button, it immediately targets my pet. So why would this be useful? Well, if I want to fight an enemy and then for any reason target my pet and buff them, I can do so. Or if I'm fighting an enemy and I want to target my pet and demez, I can do that. Another thing we can do with pet manipulation is if we hold shift and click attack, it'll put an attack button on your bar, and if you click that, it'll go attack. Well, how is that useful? Well, if we qbind it, we can then add that button to our existing qbinds, and then when we go to cast on somebody, the pet will immediately engage. And you can also set a passive. You can just shift, hold passive, or click on passive, and then you can also bring it right back in another key press. So if we do qbind, and we do 5/5, which is the slot that I have it in, I hit OK, this will target my pet, and then we'll do Control F1. We'll do attack as Control F2, and we'll do passive as Control F3. Right, so what that would look like is if we go back into our existing stuff, we set Control, which is the up chevron, F2 as pet attack, and if we wanted to just return him to passive, you can just hit the passive button or Control F3. We'll just do the defensive one here as Control, just to show you, F3. So now, when I save this and I run it as an administrator, so now if I want to hit 3, it will face the enemy, send my pet to attack, and I will CC him. It's not very conducive for PvP combat, but it's just demonstration to show you that you can use spells, like offensive spells, such as damage over time and things like that. So I could hit 3, pet goes to attack, it mezzes the enemy, and then if I wanted him to come back, let's say I'm getting attacked by an enemy and I'm trying to get him off me and I want to CC him, I can click the enemy and I can say, let's say it's this guy that my pet's attacking. So if this guy's attacking me and I'm trying to run away, I can just hit my 0 key, which will face the enemy, quick cast, AoE CC, and it will set my pet to passive so it doesn't break the CC. So if I hit 0, my pet stops attacking, AoE CC, and then I can run away, which is great. And then when I get at max distance, I can hit 6 to debuff him with all the debuffs, and I can send the pet back in. If you're not using dual purpose on your skills, like offensive defensive, then you can do offensive as an opener. So if you have like a wizard or something that's a bulk class, you can put your 2 offensive spells back to back. So what that would look like is if I go to bar 7, for instance, and we pulled up matter, we put our damage over time and our mind crush here on the same button. So if I go to qbind 7.1, and we'll make this control F5 and control F6. Here we will change this information by adding a new string. We'll make this our 1 key. We'll keep face, and then we'll use control F5, control F6, we'll get rid of control F10. Save it, run as an administrator so we can refresh the script. Alright, so now if I hit the 1 button, it's going to use 2 offensive spells back to back. So it'll damage over time, and then it will hit them with the direct damage. So that would work good on somebody who has like long range attacks, such as a wizard, eldritch, something of that nature, Ring Master. They can just blast the enemy from afar. Another good thing that you could do with that is you could cast the same spell over and over and over again. So if you just wanted to spam something like Amnesia right here, you could just spam that over and over again with a single button by casting it twice. So if we copy this information, let's say we make it 2. Amnesia spam. And then we set it to face, and then we'll just set it as control F8. So we'll set this as control F8. File. Save. And now we got to make the qbind in the game. So let's go to a page that we have an open slot. Mind twisting. Inflict oblivion. And we'll set number 69 as control F8. So now we'll set control F8 and then control F8 again. So now it should, when I hit 2, it should cast Oblivion, send the pet into attack, and then cast Oblivion again. It does. So that's a few tips and tricks you can do with casting classes. Feel free to play around with it. All you have to do is put the skills on your bar, and then put your qbinds in for those skills, and then input them in the correct order that you want them to execute into your script. And don't be afraid to go to your combat dummies and do some testing. Usually 10 to 15 minutes of testing to the point where you get it where you want it. And then once you get your script set up, all you have to do is go practice on some mobs, or just go into RBR and give it a whirl. But yeah, I appreciate you guys for watching, and if you have any questions or concerns, put them in the comments below, and then I'll check them. If I need to address them or create a new video for that, I will do so. But until then, I'll catch you next time.